Hello and welcome back. This is MC1 Gamer. This is my 100th episode, and I'm going to be taking a little bit of a detour. I am not giving up on Warhammer Fantasy or Mordheim or any of the games that I've been playing. I've decided that in the interim between now and when we get some solid confirmations about where 9th edition is going for Warhammer Fantasy, I want to try some other games. So I've been spending a lot of time, as a lot of you have seen, playing Mordheim, and I've delved into some other systems, and I've gotten the bug for some World War II gaming. Now, I know a lot of people here probably have tried it. I know a lot of the people locally that I know have tried Flames of War, and they're very big into bolt action. These games have very different scales, and from 28mm, which is the same size as 40K, I just really wasn't into the idea of bolt action because it not only is a similar scale, but it just doesn't seem for the larger battles, for big tank battles and unit battles, on the battalion or company size. I just didn't feel like I could get that with bolt action unless you had just massive tables. I didn't want to go with Flames of War, not because I don't think it's a great system. Flames of War is a great system. It obviously is an excellent game, and it's at 15mm, so it's a lot smaller than the bolt action, and certainly the size that I'd be interested in playing. But I'm not really into the rules where there's lots of special rules for extreme special rules for characters and for certain types of units, and it just seemed to me to be very similar to things like the Fantasy Flight games and Magic the Gathering, and insofar as it's more of a collectible situation. If you don't have the latest, greatest units, you're not really competing. If I already have a Panzer Grenadier unit or a airborne, a paratrooper unit from the U.S., and I already have a series of tanks, there could be another release that might come up that's a special version of that down the road, and it just continues to push the collecting, the necessity to buy more stuff. And there's plenty to get just to be involved in World War II. Now, I'm not judging those games. I'm probably still going to wind up playing those games, but just for my own taste, I wanted to try something that just had more of the flavor of World War II combat, and didn't jump into the special character scenario. It was more about the tanks and the units. And while I'm certain that Flames of War and bolt action, can be played very well like that, after seeing some of the rules, I love bolt action. It was too large scale for the kind of battles I wanted, and for Flames of War, it's a perfect scale. But I just wanted to try a different system. So I found this one. This is called Battlegroup. Now, this has been around a little while. It is not as commonplace here in the U.S. You will be able to find it, and you will definitely find people playing it. But I love this game, and I think it's probably the best of all the worlds. First of all, you can play it with either 15 or 20mm. Now, 20mm has got certain advantages, and I'll go over that in a second, but the rules really fit well for either of these sizes. So you can actually play Battlegroup with your Flames of War stuff, and you can probably adjust it to also fit with bolt action, and just adjust the system slightly with some of the ranges, but the system would be very fluid. I think one of the biggest things that's different about Battlegroup is that there's not an endless supply of source material, resources, and supplements that you need to get. Most of them are theater-based and scenario, campaign-oriented. You have a main rule book, which, by the way, the first game that they came out with, the first book they came out with was called Battlegroup Kursk, and the theater revolved around the Western Front. So the Germans invading the Russians. So mainly the main antagonists there were the conflict there was between the Germans and the Russians. Now, there are other elements in that book, but that's the focal point. And in that book, that was the first book that they had released, they had all the rules, about 45 pages of rules. This mini book was released afterwards. I believe it may have been released, I think, when Overlord was released. And this was a companion that's just the rule book. Okay, so you don't need to buy Kursk to get the rules. If you like that theater, if you like Western Front, you like that time period in World War II, get it, because you'll get a beautiful book with a great campaign and all kinds of scenarios, and the rules, and even painting guides. But you can also buy this for about $15 to $20 by itself. This is the rules. You can't play just with the rule book, though. You need to have a theater book, a scenario book that falls in line with the time period that you're looking to play. And that's where you do have some additional, and there's not endless of these, about 4 or 5 of these. So the first one was Battlegroup Kursk, which again was the Western theater with the rule book. Then came out the separate rule book. All right, so it has all the rules with some great pictures. It's just a great quality of the rule book. It's also this is not going to fall apart. Awesome full color pictures in here. The rules are very easy to pick up. They're not exceptionally complicated, but there are definitely advanced rules that you can initiate. Look at that, just beautiful pictures of these campaigns, and battle boards, and these are all painted models. And I think early on in the book they actually show some actual real. No, that's not real. That's a painted scenario, painted models. But these covers are obviously legitimately from World War II. But you can start out with just getting this mini rule book, and you can get the source book for the campaign you're looking to play. Now, I have 2 that are here on the table. I think there are 4 total and 1 coming out. So first one was Kursk. The next one I believe that came out was either Overlord or this one called Barbarossa, which is early war. It deals with Poland and whatnot, Germany. Overlord takes place from the Normandy invasions on. So it's the Normandy invasions into the battle further inland through France and into Germany. Netherlands and whatnot, all throughout the eastern part of Europe and the push towards Germany. This is my favorite book, without a doubt. This is still Germany at its height of strength. This is the U.S. entering into the war, but you also have scenarios in here for Russians and certainly for Britain. I mean, Britain is highly involved in all of these books. And what's nice is that all of these books, from the main book, even from the rule book, but the main book and each of the supplements, they come with these generic, which could be considered competitive, but very generic. I build my list, you build your list, we line up in this scenario structure, and battle. So it's its own little story. And one thing that's also extremely important, I only mentioned that you can play at either 15 or 20 mil, but what's nice about this game is that you can play throughout a story or a campaign, or you can just line up and do just a general, fight it out. But it really, the rules are very fluid. You can use either the plastic soldier company boxes. You can use Flames of War stuff for the 15 mil, and for the 20 mil, which is 172. You can use a variety of different types of models. So there is a tremendous range if you want to do this at 20 mil. Sorry for the glare here. This, for instance, I guess it's artillery, which is these are American infantry at 172, 20 mil. I have Revel. There's a whole line. This is a Panther from Revel. They tend to be very inexpensive, but you're not going to get the groupings you'll get with Flames of War or Plastic Soldier Company. For instance, Plastic Soldier Company. Here's a Plastic Soldier Company half-tracks. You get 3 of them in a box. These are extremely cost-effective, getting Plastic Soldier Company for either the 172 mil, or if you want to stick to the 15 millimeter, which is what I think I'm going to stick with. I mean, here's just a little idea of the size comparison. This is a 15 mil unfinished Sherman, and there's a 20 mil Sherman, and here's a 15 mil Stug. These 2 are from the starter set, the most recent starter set from Flames of War. So you can use the Flames of War stuff very easily. I even have one of the Flames of War. I'm still working on it. The M10 Wolverine that I'm going to be adding in, the Tank Destroyer. So there's definitely a lot of model lines that you can use for either one. I prefer the 15 mil because there's so many people who already have 15 mil. And what I'm getting at is that you can use the Flames of War models for Battleground and for the 15 mil. And if you want to go with 20 mil, you can use all these different systems. There's all these different types of model companies. There's tons of them, and they're fantastic. I'll get into things like the rules and how it's really different from these other systems, and go in and show the books in a second. But this is something I'm going to be doing in the interim between now and when 9th comes out, and I hope you'll join me. I hope you take a look. Thank you very much for checking this out, and have a great day, everybody.